Hey, what's up? It's Nick Pagliochini, and I am once again joined by an incredible person. If you have not checked out part one of my interview with MaryLynn Mack, who is Mother Nature here at South Coast Botanic Garden in the South Bay, you need to go and pause this episode, go check that out, because you learn so much about MaryLynn and her background and how much incredible diversity and experience in life she was able to bring along with her, starting out in the Midwest, coming out here to the West Coast, taking a bit of a detour into the Southwest for a brief period of time. And if you know, you got to go check out the other episode for that. But right now we are at your newest home, realistically, which has been a home for a number of years now, but we're at South Coast Botanic Garden. So talk to me about the history of this incredible place. Let's go back even long before you stepped foot on the ground.
Okay.
Talk to me about that, and then we will talk about all the incredible things you have done and the things that are coming to South Coast Botanic.
Well, first of all, it is an amazing place, and talk about an interesting story, because even though this garden is 64 years old, it really, I feel like it's in its adolescence. Because
I would agree.
We've just kind of come into our own, I would say the last, 8 or 9 years, where we started to look at the programming, look at the exhibits, look at the community, and see what it was we could do to provide service to them. But I think our big secret weapon, and I think the most interesting thing about us is that we're built on a landfill.
She's going to tell more about this.
Yeah.
Because there's one specific feature when you're driving in that you will be able to experience this still, but I will let you tell that story.
Absolutely. So, back in the 60s, there were some very progressive people that looked around and realized that, this needed to turn into something more beautiful. But prior to us, first it was an open ore mine. Then it became a sanitary landfill.
Which is crazy, both of those to begin with, yes.
And there are still neighbors that remember bringing their trash here. This is where you dumped your trash. And Nick, you were alluding to the parking lot.
Yes.
The reason that we have a roller coaster ride in is because that was the area of the landfill where people dumped newspapers, magazines, paper product. So there's a little bit more movement in that area.
To this day, is that correct or no?
Yeah, to this day.
So it's still literally news from the past is helping to usher you in to the present.
That's right.
As you come here. Because you have to come to South Coast Botanic. At the end of the episode, we'll give you all the details of exactly how to come visit. But just beginning, coming off of the main roadway and on here, it's wild. It will be, you've never thought of a roller coaster ride to get to a botanic garden ever. I guarantee you will experience it here.
But you get in here and then it's worth it, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
I'll tell you, even when I came 5 years ago, I just celebrated my 5th anniversary, we didn't really talk too much publicly about the fact that we were on a landfill. And myself and some other of my colleagues, we really think telling that story of reclamation is important. And so we jokingly refer to the fact that we're not ashamed of our trashy past. Mm-hmm. And we started to talk about it more because I'm telling you, if nothing is inspirational, it's the fact that you can take a landfill and turn it into a beautiful botanic garden.
Correct.
I feel that's something that entrepreneurs of tomorrow can really look at. People in urban spaces where land is, at a premium. We need to start looking at things like this for conservation.
And I think one of the things too, and I remember now kind of going through the process of when we first met, one of the installations you had specifically when we very first met, so it wasn't Thomas Danbo trolls, which we will talk about, and it is made from reclaimed wood, but that's a different story. Let's talk about the specific how we met. It was, was it Washed Ashore?
Washed Ashore.
It was Washed Ashore. So
that was a really popular exhibit we did.
Right.
And we had, I think it was well over 18 pieces of sculpture. And you look from a distance and you'd see these amazing jellyfish hanging from one of our silk floss trees. Yes. Then you get up on it and you realize it's all made out of plastic water bottles.
Yes, it's incredible.
So every single installation piece was made out of trash that had washed up from ocean. So it's sobering at the same time.
Sure.
You go, wow, how cute is this? And then you're looking and you're realizing that all of this trash, tons and tons of plastic that we've dredged from our ocean.
But I think that's, for me, it was, it's very disheartening and hopefully we will, as a community, global community, find a way to turn that around. But literally, like you said, there's trash below the soil here. And for that time period, there was trash above the
There
soil.
sure was.
But it was the incredible art and the incredible education. I think that was going back to, the jellyfish. There was a bald eagle that was made out of, a lot of the wings were made out of tires that were found in the ocean. There were penguins, they're the same. A lot of the black mat was made out of tires. We covered, Amy King and I from Wake Up Call and KFI, covered the entire gardens and spent a good amount of time with a lot of those installations. And I think there's so much to that, to have a start as a landfill and start as trash. And then, like you said, starting to talk about it. And then actually finding an incredible exhibition to lean right into the trash.
It was great. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful marriage of art and nature. And so, and we followed that up with Thomas Dambo's Trolls. Again, like you mentioned, made out of reclaimed wood. And it's just that whole reuse, repurpose story, but people are taking it and making awesome art out of it.
Right. And I think that's one thing, not to get too ahead of it, but we're already here, so I want to jump into it.
I did.
No, you're totally fine. I know, because I want to go back in time and a little bit, and I also want to jump ahead to the future. But one of the coolest things for both Wash Ashore and for Thomas Dambo Trolls, and I know you also are doing it, we're going to talk about Bloom and we're going to talk about Soar, but you have activities that support it.
Yes.
And to the point that when we had all of the trolls here, all the little trolls, all the children, the baby trolls, each of them had their own craft that kids could come in here and make, that supported and continued that explanation. So talk to me about what it's like building a program like that, that helps to give an entire, you didn't just give the prologue and a couple of chapters, you gave an entire book, an entire novella to each of these exhibitions.
And that's a lot of fun for the team. We have an amazing creative team who builds what we call layers. We might have an exhibition, but we want to enrich it. We want to make it connected to our own community, and we want to give something for everyone. So we will layer our exhibit with classes, with events. We might even go down to naming our food and our drink inspired by, the exhibit itself. So everywhere you look, there's that thread of imagination and creativity running into the exhibit that might just be here for a short period of time. But you can come take a class. You might come to a concert. Everything's connected back.
And I think that's something that we'll kind of work our way back to the beginning. When you came over here and you were learning the history of the facility, once you finally came on board, what was that like back then? I mean, you've been here 5 years, and we're going to talk about one major event that happened in those 5 years, but we'll talk about that in a second. Talk to me what it was like when you first walked through the door. What was it like to get, an additional 30 acres? No.
Yeah.
An additional 30 acres and a little bit of a different climate and some different, native plants and everything else.
And a very small staff.
Okay.
I mean, we have over 60 staff here, but 5 years ago, we were at about 12 or 14 staff people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I say we were building the Botanic Garden, we were building every aspect of it.
Sure.
We were building the team that we needed at the same time. And that's why it's so magical. There's no one here that has a really long tenure. Our CEO, Adrian, has been here for 13 years. Everyone else, less time than that.
That's wild.
And most can give their time in months. So we are constantly growing, and it's just an exciting place to come and be a part of, like I say, creating your own legacy. So it's been an interesting ride because I got here and one of the first things we wanted to sit down and do is think about who we are. Who we are as a garden, how we want to serve the community. And we realized that we can serve in a variety of ways. This is an amazing place to have a wedding. This is an amazing place to rent, for your events and things. This is an amazing spot for filming.
Correct.
We have many entities that come and do their filming here because you can go in the back 40 and turn it into whatever you need to turn it into.
And you have no idea.
Right.
Plus, it's so well set up that you, and working with the team here, and the rangers and everything else, which are, the incredible crew that MaryLynn and her team have put together, who are so passionate about this, but they're out and about constantly, and they are more eyes and ears than you would ever realize. And I speak from personal experience, having encountered some of them where I didn't expect to. So, but yeah, I mean, it's amazing that way. But in your beginning, realistically, you had a global event that happened, and you had to figure out how to work within the confines of that. And I'm talking about the COVID pandemic. So this is something that most people don't think about that would be an opportunity for, I don't know, maybe confusion, which I mean, we all experience confusion in that time period. You know, it was a really challenging time period, but you flourished.
We did. And I mean, I think where we were so fortunate is that we have 87 acres outside. So when lots of other things had to shut down, when we were having to space 6 feet apart, when the world was just scared, we had a safe 87 acre space that you could come and breathe. We could space you 6 feet apart. We could do micro programming where there was just, you know, your pod, you know, we had our pods of people, and you could come and you could, you know, be together. And as unfortunately that terrible, scary time, as we were going through it, we were becoming more and more attuned to how we could continue to have programming and a space for the whole community to come to. I can tell you, like during the time when, you know, obviously kids were being homeschooled or they were being, you know, on their computers at home, we could set our watch every day at 3:00. You know, school was out and you could just see these moms coming with the kids. They drop them and they take off running. And I mean, feeling free, feeling safe, feeling a little bit more okay.
And that's amazing. Like that really,
it was amazing.
Because and I think that's the thing. And going back to when I was saying the Rangers' ears and eyes.
Yes.
You saw it
and
firsthand.
A department, by the way, that we had just created literally 3 weeks prior to the pandemic.
Which is that in and of itself speaks volumes of the, you know, community that you've created here and the departments that you've created here. And I think even to your incredible creativity, and it speaks to your team for, you know, pulling off your amazing visions. But Disco Oasis is probably one of the most epic things. And,
amazing,
you know, to have been in a global pandemic, to be able to pull together an absolutely epic, beyond belief, in-person, socially distanced event, I can't even imagine. And, you know, there were places around the globe that were having issues, and it was a party here because it was socially distanced, it was outdoors, it was safe, all the protocols were there.
It was great. I mean, we even had, you know, Glow, our light show prior to that, Garden Lights, Ocean Waters, and that's when that partnership actually evolved. I'll give credit where credit's due. We had our light show, and Constellation Immersive and Creative Artists Agency came to Glow because we were open when everything else was shut down. We hit it off. We saw, I don't know, we didn't know what we were going to do, but we knew we were going to do something. And that's kind of how Disco Oasis was born. Because if you'll remember, during pandemic, roller skating kind of got trendy again.
It did, and it still is riding that wave now.
Right,
to
so
this day.
that happened. In Vogue magazine, Balenciaga had come up with a designer roller skate. And that's kind of the beauty of these creative things, is you throw a lot of different people in a room and come up with these sometimes wacky ideas that just meld together to become magic. Disco music, you know what? You either love it or you hate it, but you can't be mad at it. It's happy music.
That is true. It's very much. And that was a time period we needed the happy.
That's right.
We really did.
And then this place that's already beautiful, but that was adaptable enough where we could take a dry lake bed and turn it into a 37,000 square foot roller skating
Which
rink.
is insane.
And then have these over the top botanical vignettes that you walk through to get to that, you know, piece de resistance at the end. And I'm telling you, you could not go there and not have a smile on your face from beginning to end. It was joyful. Again, I keep going back to people feeling free after a really scary time.
Right.
And it was just an amazing party, and it brought everybody here.
It really did, because you had a celebrity clientele that was here, insane, including the person that curated the soundtrack and was a big part of that.
That was amazing. The curated soundtrack was by Nile Rodgers, okay? You can't get better than that.
No. So if you're not from
Grammy Award winner.
I was going to say, absolutely amazing.
Worked with everybody. He came to opening night. What?
Yeah.
And, you know, after that, DJ'd. It was just, everybody was coming. And everybody was welcome. I remember one night I was on the dance floor, and
No, that's good.
that's where I kind of live down there.
Sure.
But looking across, I saw our board members. I saw families from the community with their little kids. I saw drag queens. I saw everybody from Hollywood, Brentwood, South LA, you name it, dancing together. My favorite was 82-year-old woman came to celebrate her birthday. Her grandson brought her, dressed in her three-piece white suit, very John Travolta. She was standing in the middle of the dance floor, and the entire group of people here that didn't know each other circled around her and celebrated her to We Are Family. That was magic.
That's, in and of itself, is truly, and I think this speaks to what we've talked about a lot in part one and part two, the diversity.
Yeah.
And the tribe and the community, and how unique and special a place like South Coast Botanic can be, because we don't necessarily gravitate toward gardens naturally. I mean, here in Southern California, we're very, very lucky. We do have, the best climate. For a lot of people would consider it the best climate. We don't really have seasons where we're able to have a lot of things outdoors, but we don't quite appreciate it. And I think, as you said, with the organization that South Coast Botanic Garden is a part of, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of gardens around the state and the country that are all these hidden gems that really have amazing things. Now, nobody does it like South Coast Botanic. I am not blowing any smoke, because I did not hear about Nile Rodgers or Chic or Disco Oasis anywhere else around the country. And I do remember all the media coverage of how exciting it was, because someplace in our own backyard here in Southern California was making, and I'll get a little emotional, making a really scary time less scary.
Absolutely.
Making a confusing time, a challenging time, joyful and exciting.
Absolutely.
So I think, being a part of that and having it be here in Los Angeles, being in Southern California, it's something that you and your team were able to gift to local community, but to the world at large. And it gave people that moment of pause to realize it wasn't as scary as we were experiencing. Me
emotional too. Because what a gift we had to do that.
Right.
What a gift of partnership, Constellation Immersive. But also, our mission is we are a garden of experiences for all, and all is in caps, because we want this garden to be for everyone. We want something to resonate with everyone. That's why, it's going to be nature. It's going to be concerts. It may be art. It may be a butterfly pavilion. But, we want everyone to have a sense of belonging here. And we'll continue to do events like Music and Flowers, where we celebrated Black floriculture, Lunar New Year, where the community came out and celebrated together. We want to continue to look for those kinds of experiences to bring you here to fall in love with the 87 acres.
And it's a worthwhile 87 acres. Now, we've got one event underway right now, which is Bloom, and that started back on April 1st.
Yes.
Correct? So that is, and you can see some of the flowers behind us if you're tuning in on social media or on YouTube or on the website. You're able to see some of that incredible, not just the foliage, but obviously blooms that are here. The next event that is coming is Soar, which is, as you referenced, the Butterfly Pavilion.
Right. And this is our 4th year. How exciting is that?
That's amazing. And it's a beautiful place, not too far inside the gates here at the Botanic Garden. So even if you're thinking, oh my goodness, those 80 acres sound daunting, it's in the close part. It's not the back 40, it's in the front 40.
That's right. Very accessible.
Yes.
And we're just excited. We have a brand new plant palette inside the pavilion.
Okay.
For those that have never been to a butterfly pavilion, it is an immersive experience. You walk in and you are surrounded by amazing tropical butterflies that you're not going to necessarily see here because they're not indigenous to this area, which is why we've got, the whole shut the door, open the door.
Which totally makes sense.
We keep everybody inside.
Of course.
But you get to go in, take amazing pictures. And again, it's this really serene place where you're just not going to get that experience anywhere else.
No, and I think it's too, again, it leans further into the nature. And it's one of those things, when you come to South Coast Botanic Garden, you'll experience the ground, the squirrels and everything else, which are wild.
Wildlife.
They're wild. There's wildlife, but I'm saying leaning into the soar with the butterflies, and that's just an incredible addition to it. What does the rest of the year look like? And I know there is some big piece that's coming down the path that is very exciting in your backyard here that is in the future. So talk to me about it.
Absolutely. So SOAR opens tomorrow, May 1st. And so you can come and see SOAR and Bloom, because Bloom is going to run for through the end of June.
So it's a twofer, 100% that way, which is great.
Totally beautiful. We're going to start our summer sunset series, which is concerts. Those are going to start happening in June. So the best way to get this information, again, is to go to our website, find out all the activities coming up. But then we've got a big project that's in the works, and that's our Children and Family Garden. That's a huge, huge capital project that's going to be transformative. 3.5 acres of space. And when I say children and family, that's families of all kinds. You can go down there and celebrate your inner child all day, Nick, because it's going to be just hands-on, immersive, interactive places. Everything from a plant maze to the thing we're most proud of, which is going to be a canopy walk. Up high, totally accessible for everyone. If you are a child in a wheelchair, you will have the same experience.
That's what I'm most excited about, because I've seen mock-ups and renderings of what the plans are and have been able to not see any of the construction, but got to see as things are being graded and being leveled out. I'm excited because it will open, it'll open the door, it'll open the gate at the park, if you will, for so many.
Right.
There's so much here that already comes, and all of these things are more icing on the cake than anything. You definitely should come out to South Coast Botanic Garden. There is no excuse year-round. There are also activities. As MaryLynn referenced, there's even been in the past sometimes where outside partners have come in and done a couple of things. There was Astrolumina this past year for the holiday season. So there's a lot that goes on here. And again, it's a great venue for a wedding, or if you need photography or any of that. It's really, really well worth it. And again, it is not far from wherever you are in Southern California, or if you are here and you're trying to find that one thing that is truly Southern California that isn't Universal Studios or Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm or something to that effect, this would be it. For me, being born and raised here in Southern California, being able to come out to something incredible like this in our own backyard is so unique and special. So again, where can we find out more about South Coast Botanic Garden?
Go to our website, scbg.org, and you can just hear about all our events, read about all our events, sign up, get your tickets, come out and visit us. It's amazing. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, South Coast Botanic Garden.
And MaryLynn is always here, as we've already talked about, so be sure to say hello if you do see her. But again, anything else you need to learn This Weekend with Nick.com in the show notes, Nick Pagliochini and This Weekend with Nick on Instagram. Check out the link in bio. There'll be more details for you there. And truly, MaryLynn, this has been so much fun. I appreciate you more than you know. And thank you for this. But as we wrap it up,
that's right.
MaryLynn and I come out to South Coast Botanic Garden. Right. We look forward to seeing you out and about this weekend.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.